Welcome to section 1.4, equations of lines and linear models. Okay, so an important concept for lines is something called the slope of a line. And we have a formula for finding the slope of a line when it passes through these two given points. And we can find the slope when you have 2 points with this formula, where you subtract the two y values and then you subtract the two x values, which is also called the change in y over the change in x. So some equations of lines, and again, hoping this is some review for you guys. Point slope form is given with this, where we have a point and then a slope. Again, to fill out point slope form, you need a point and a slope. The next one is called slope intercept form. And to fill that out, we need a slope and, an intercept. Careful though, this intercept is specifically the y-intercept, not the x. Then we have the general standard form where we have x first, then y and c. This one's not used as much. Usually, point slope and slope intercept are used the most. Then we have the formula for a vertical line, where we only have an x value, and then the horizontal line of a y value. And the slope for vertical lines is undefined, and the slope for horizontal lines is 0. So some other information about lines. So parallel lines have the same slope. And again, parallel lines are two lines that run right along with each other and they'll never meet. And then perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocal slopes. So they intersect at a perfect 90-degree angle. Those are perpendicular lines. Symbol for perpendicular lines is this, and symbol for parallel lines is that. Actually, a little more unified. There you go. So two lines that have the slope m sub 1 and m sub 2 are perpendicular if m sub 1 times m sub 2 is equal to -1, or the slope of one is equal to the opposite reciprocal of the other. What does that mean? Well, if the first slope was 3 or 2 over 3, a perpendicular slope to that would be opposite. So what's the opposite of a positive 2/3? It's a negative 2/3. And then the reciprocal of that, you just flip the fraction, 3 over 2. So that would be perpendicular, opposite reciprocal slopes. So example 1, find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that passes through -4, 1, and is A, parallel to the lines passing through 1, 3, and 4, 5, or B, perpendicular to the line passing through 1, -3, and 4, 5. Okay, so this problem hinges on finding our slope from another line. So first off, in general, whenever we're trying to write the equation of a line, the best formula to use is usually point slope. It's not as specific as slope intercept. Slope intercept is good, but point slope is usually less specific. So I'll write that down. We're going to go ahead and use this form. Again, what do we need to fill it out? It's in the name. We need a point, and we need a slope. What are we given in this problem? We're given a point of our line, but we don't know the slope. What do we know about the slope? Well, it's parallel to this line. So I just need to find the slope of the other line, and then I can use that slope. So again, my point is -4, 1. So -4, 1. Remember, that's my x and y value. So now I just need to find the slope. And since they're parallel, it's going to be the exact same slope. So I'll just go ahead and use the formula for slope, which we had above. Subtract the y value, so 5 minus -3. 5 the minus the -3, and then 4 minus 1. So that's going to be 5 plus 3 over 4 minus 1, which is going to be 3. So m sub 1 is going to equal 8 over 3. Okay, that's the slope. And again, we're talking about a parallel slope, so my slope is parallel to this, which means it's going to be the exact same. So I'll go ahead and plug that in. 8 over 3. And I have y minus 1 equals 8 over 3 times x minus -4. Careful, there's a double negative there. So y minus 1 equals 8 over 3 times x plus 4. All right, since I'm not told to answer in any other specific form, I can just answer with this form, and that'll be it. All right, so that was finding part A, where we're talking about parallel to that line. In part B, we want to know what my line would be that would be perpendicular to the same line. So the only difference there, we're still going to use the same point. We're just going to change the m that we have. So I'll go ahead and write down the same point that we have. We're still going to use the same x and y value. That's not changing. The only thing that changes is this time my slope is perpendicular. So I need a perpendicular one. So my slope, opposite reciprocal of 8 over 3. So since it's a positive 8 over 3, I'll take a negative. And the reciprocal of 8 over 3, switch that around, 3 over 8. And that is my new slope. I'll go ahead and plug that in. So y minus 1 equals negative 3 over 8 times x minus negative 4. Again, I'll simplify that double negative. Y minus 1 equals negative 3 over 8 times x plus 4. And we're done. Unless you are asked to answer in a certain form, these both are fine. All right, so let's take a look at interpreting slope as a rate of change. So example 2, a computer is purchased for $1,000 in 2018, and in 2021, the value of the computer has depreciated to $550. Assume the rate of depreciation is linear. All right, so A, find the equation in point slope form that models the value of this computer. What does the slope represent? And then when will the value of the computer be 0? So A, we need to find an equation. And we're given point slope form. So that is y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. And again, what do we need to fill this out? We need a slope and a point. What are we given? Well, we're given two pairs here. We're given the pair of $1,000 is paired with 2018. And then we're given the other pair of $550 is paired with 2021. So let's go ahead and use those pairs. So it doesn't matter which point I'm going to use. I'm going to use the one with smaller numbers, but that's kind of stuck between the two. So I'm going to go ahead and use the first pair as my points. So I'll plug those in, 2018, 1000. Now I need to find my slope. And I can go ahead and use these points. So I'll do subtraction, this one and this, for my change in the y values. 2021 minus 2018. And then 550 minus 1000. And what will I get? So we'll get negative 450 on the bottom. And then we're doing 2021 minus 2018. That should be 3. And then 3 divided by 450. Well, that's not going to be a nice number, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that. So my slope is negative, which makes sense with this problem again because the value of my computer is going down, so it should be a negative number to be going down. And again, that is my slope, so we'll go ahead and sub that in. And my formula is y minus 2018 equals 3 over negative 450 x minus 1000. Okay, and that's the answer in point slope form, and that's what was asked for this part. So for part B, what do we need? What does the slope represent? Good question. Well, again, these values here are talking about the years, right? And this value here is talking about the money. So if I was to read off this slope, 3 over negative 450, this is saying every 3 years, what do we know happens? So every 3 years, remember this was the dollars, every 3 years it goes down, the value goes down because it's a negative $450. I'll do a capital E for every because a full sentence. And there we go, that's how we would interpret the slope. All right, so then for C, when will the value of the computer be 0? So when will value equals 0? Okay, value again was my x variable, right? These are my x's right here, and these are my y's. Let me go ahead and highlight that so you see what I'm talking about. My y value and my x value. So we want to figure out, this means, when is x equal to 0? So let's go ahead and figure that out. So let's use our formula. Y minus 2018 equals 3 to negative 450 times x minus 1,000. And we're trying to figure out what the y value is going to be when x finally equals a value of $0. So that'd be y minus 2018 equals 3 over negative 450 times negative 1,000. I'm going to go ahead and add the 2018 to both sides. So now we'll figure out what y is. And remember, y is the years. So we're solving for y now when the monetary amount was 0. Let's see. So that's going to be negative 3,000 divided by negative 450 plus 2018. Let me go ahead and plug that in my calculator, and I'll get back to you on what that is. Okay, so if you plug this into your calculator, this is actually going to be approximately, and because it's going to be an approximation, I'm going to use this little squiggle line. It's going to be approximately 24 point, technically goes 66, so I'll round up to 7. So what does that mean? Again, y was the years. So this is saying the value of my computer will be, what were we trying to find? We were trying to figure out when it's 0, which is why we had x equals 0. It will be 0 when the year is 2024. You could say approximately. Again, there are different ways to word this, but that would do just fine. Again, if you have questions on any of these problems, please just send me an email, and I'll go over it with you in an office hour, either in person or via Zoom. All right, let's take a look at example 3. The following table gives the number of Native Hawaiian students enrolled at WCC from the year 2018 to 2021. Find the equation of the line y equals mx plus b that passes through those 2 points. Use the equation of Part A to estimate the number of Hawaiian or Native Hawaiian students enrolled in WCC at 2020. Compare the estimate from Part B to the actual value in the table and discuss the results. All right, so we're going to create an equation to sort of estimate what number would be in 2020. So for Part A, we're going to do the same thing we usually do, write the equation of a line. Because none of these 2 points are a y-intercept, I'm going to go ahead and use the generic y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. You might say, why aren't we just using this main one? There are ways to do that, but in general, I find it simpler to just use the point slope form. So we'll go ahead and do that. So I need at least 1 point, which I'm given. I'll just go ahead and use this one. You could use the other point too. And now I need to find slope. And to find slope, I need 2 points, which I am given. So remember, the formula for slope is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So y sub 2. All right, so I'll do x sub 1, or y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. So that's going to be 1976 minus 1007 over 2021 minus 2018. This is looking at years, and this is looking at number of Native Hawaiian students. So what would I get? I'm going to go ahead and plug this in my calculator, and I'll check back in with you. So the slope is going to be 323 over 1, technically. Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and use that slope for my formula. Again, we're just trying to find an equation of a line to approximate how to estimate the number of students we see. Again, you can use either point you were given. I'm just going to go ahead and use this. The numbers are smaller. So let's say we have y minus 1007 equals 323 times x minus 2018. And again, we want to answer in y equals mx plus b form, so I need to get y by itself. But first, I'll go ahead and distribute this out. That'll be y minus 1007 equals 323x, and then let's see, calculating that out, 323 times 2018 is 651,814. Okay, and then we'll go ahead again. We have to solve for y to get it in the right form. Add the 1007 to both sides. And we get y equals 323x plus, oh, no, it's going to be a minus, minus 650,807. And there we have a formula for modeling the number of Native Hawaiian students per year. So for B, we're going to use the equation in part A to estimate the number of Native Hawaiian students enrolled in 2020. So we're going to use this. And now we're trying to figure out the number of Native Hawaiians, which is my y value. We're trying to find y when x is equal to 2020. So find y when x equals the year 2020. So y is going to equal 323, and we're replacing x with our new y value. And let's see, that's going to be 2020 minus 650,807. Okay, let's see what we get. Calculating that out, we get y equals 1653. Okay, but again, this is a word problem, so what does that answer mean? Well, that means the number of Native Hawaiian students was 1,653 in the year 2020. The number of Native Hawaiian students in 1653 is approximately, or estimated to be, 1,653 students. All right, let's see, I'm chugging along. Part C, compare the estimate to the actual value and discuss the results. So this is our estimate based on two different numbers we used to create an equation. What was the actual value given by the table? In 2020, it was given 1018. So we'll say that. The table states that in 2020, there were, how many students? 1018. 1,018 students. Is this bigger or smaller than what we got? This is smaller than this. This is smaller than given by the equation model. So what are some things we could say about this? Well, again, this was just approximating something into linear. And we know with growth of students coming and going, it's not going to be a linear relationship. So because of that, it doesn't map it perfectly, but it's pretty close. Or at least it can be an approximation to kind of show growth, which is why we start to getting more complex equations as we go along in the course. But that is it for 1.4. If you have any questions, please email me.